Selling in the billions each year, Rainbow Mealworms is your one-stop shop for all your insect needs. Their quality feeders and A-plus customer service keep me coming back to support the health and growth of all of our animals. Visit them today at rainbowmealworms.net to place your order. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to this Breeder Feature Friday, where we like to feature some of the top breeders in the hobby, as well as industry leaders. So we're going to have breeders of animals on here, as well as industry leaders that talk about reptile products and how we can improve the husbandry of our reptiles. Our special guest on today's interview, I'm such a big fan of his. We've been in communication for a couple of years now. We did an interview with him a long time ago when things were a lot more janky around here. But his name is Chris from GECKOPIA, and he actually does both. He breeds high quality animals, some rare animals like crocodile skinks and stuff that we'll talk about, more common stuff like leopard geckos that we'll talk about that most of you are familiar with. But he also has really unique product lines for specific reptiles, and we're going to talk about that as well. So thank you so much for being here today, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for asking, and thanks for inviting me to this amazing live event. I can't wait to share all the information that everyone has for us.
Yeah, I really appreciate you when I do a live stream with you because, not everybody asks for like questions ahead of time of like what I'm
Hmm.
going to ask, but you always like to be prepared and you like to know your answers before you
Yeah.
speak. And that's
Hmm.
very evident in your videos that you do. Chris has a YouTube channel. He also has a website. Check him out at thegeckopia.com. And the picture that we used on this thumbnail, which is a very attractive picture, is promoting one of his very cool kind of newish reptile products. It's new within the last year or so, but it is for crested geckos, and so it's really cool that you're starting to make other products. On a side note, we did not mean to correlate light colors, LED light colors behind us. It just so happened that he rocks the red and blue, and I was rocking the red and blue, and so I think that's pretty fun. But Chris, I always like to give a little shout out to some of the early birds and some of the people that chime in early. So I'll just shout out some names real quick, and then we'll get rocking and rolling with some questions for you.
All right,
Um,
son.
but we got Henry Hicks in the house, DNS, Geckos, Bam Bam. Bam Bam's been sick, even missed last week's stream, and he's always so committed. So really great to have him back here. Grady Womack, Geeky Gecko Creations, that's us. Let's see who else. I think there's a couple other early birds here that just jumped in. Dragonheart Exotics, Sir Goo Goo Goo. Good to see you here, Norman Davis, Travis Bittner, Ace Lingo, and Kyle Dell. Welcome to all you early birds. You guys are always such like fan supporters of us, and it's really, really good to have you guys here. So if you guys don't know Chris, we're gonna get to know him a little bit today. But please check out his social media platforms because he has some really good ones. So if you have no idea who Chris is, you can definitely. Whoops, let me mute this here real quick. You could check him out on thegeckopia.com, Geckopia on Instagram, Geckopia on YouTube for some educational and entertainment videos that he has. But Chris, let's get rocking and rolling. The first topic that I wanted to talk to you about is probably one of the things that first caught my attention about you. And we spoke about this a little bit last year. You are one of the few people in the reptile hobby who focuses on high-end breeding but also high-end product production. How did you get into product production?
So initially, probably everyone who follows our channel or our page knows that it started as a hobby initially, and I had hundreds of leopard geckos. And while owning them, I just saw a lot of products that were sold on stores were just used for like aesthetic purpose only. And I've been using all of the products here and there, but I just wasn't liking how it was being sold to a lot of reptile parents. So I decided to start making my own design with our fans and who supports our Geckopia company. And then, yeah, everything started from there with one of our most iconic item, which is triple dish, which you have one, right?
I do have a triple dish. I promote it as much as I can for people.
Yeah. But yeah, but anyway, yeah, I just had a lot of geckos in my place, and I just started wanting to work on something that I can really help a lot of gecko lovers or any reptile lovers. And I just feel a lot of passion into those things as well. So I started creating products and breeding reptiles at the same time now. But there's still a lot of like things to learn, and there's a lot of things to do. So still learning. I'm not really perfect, but I'm trying to get to the point where I can help a lot of reptile parents at the end of the day in the future. Hopefully, yeah.
And you know, it's tough for anybody or any company to be perfect in this world, but
Mhm.
you are reliable. You are a company that like I trust in. Like if I buy a product from you or I have customer service interaction with you, I know it's going to be good. Everybody in the chat, I'm going to show off his triple dish real quick. If you hear Chris talk and he echoes, let me know because then we will try to address that issue. It's been an issue with us in the past, but the triple dish is probably one of his most popular products. And since we are a primarily leopard gecko channel, I just wanted to show it off real quick. Ooh, these are for sale, which is also cool. If you want a Black Knight, you can check out some Black Knights. You got some Black Knights still available. Is that right, Chris? A lot of people are
Yeah.
always asking me about Black Knights. So I
Yeah.
don't
So
have
we
any
do.
right now, but Chris does.
Oh, yeah. So we do get a lot of clients from international countries nowadays too.
Oh, wow.
So we have a couple of reserved already, but yeah, anything that's on our website that's available is pretty much available for sale.
That's really cool. And this is your iconic triple dish. This is kind of what you began to be known for, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it has a
And
mealworm dish here. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Mhm. Yeah, so the cool thing about this, when I started out creating the triple dish, it was everyone's opinions altogether. We created with everyone's ideas, and then
That's
we
cool.
ended up creating this item together. But yeah, it has handle, mealworms, calciums, water, everything in one spot. So um, the goal for this item was to actually help geckos that are having a trouble finding foods and
Okay.
waters. So that's how everything started from the beginning.
And the cool thing about the triple dish is sometimes people experience the problem that
Mhm.
if you put calcium powder in the wrong ratio with the mealworms, it's going to kill the mealworms fairly quickly, depending on how much powder is in that dish. So the
Yes.
really cool thing about your dish is, or your product here, is that it holds the mealworms separate from the powder and separate from the water. And there's this
Mhm.
blocking wall here so that there's no crossover splash. So you're not getting like powder splashing with water and mealworms drowning, you know?
Yes, that's correct. And yeah, that was one of the reasons why I put the walls between those two bowls. But also, I had a lot of issues slipping off bowls while cleaning, so I created a handle on the walls as well, so it's easier
And they
to
come
carry.
in so many colors. Yeah, it's easy to move around and clean,
Mhm.
and it's so customizable. And today, who doesn't love customization? I mean, that's partly why we breed geckos, right? To customize their colors and whatnot. So if you, this is kind of his flagship product here, guys. If you were unfamiliar with him, but he does have many other products that we'll kind of touch on as well.
Mhm.
You just announced to me some new news to me before this stream is that you're actually in Texas now. So
Yeah.
what happened? Can you tell me a little about, you know, as much as you feel like disclosing about why you moved and what your plans are with that?
Sure, sure. So, although I was born and raised in South Korea, I lived in Texas for quite a long time. And
Okay.
then I moved to Vegas for work and schools and things like that. And after staying there for a couple of years, I just felt like I wanted to go back to Texas again. I don't know. It's just, I had a lot of good memories in Texas, and I love weather here too. Although it's a little hot, but it's way cooler than Las Vegas. So,
Okay, quick
um,
question. Do all your exes live in Texas? Do you know what
um,
that means? You know that song?
no, 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 no.
Okay, you'll have to listen to it later. It's a country song. And you know how country songs are always talking about like their ex-lovers and their dogs and stuff like that. Anyway, I don't know the name of the song. If any of you guys in the chat know the name of the song, one of the lines in the song is "All my exes live in Texas." Like all my ex-boyfriends or
Oh.
ex-girlfriends, yeah, live in Texas. So anyway, I was trying to be funny, but did you
Oh.
have anything else on that topic? Do you have plans to expand
Yeah.
Geckopia into warehousing or bigger while you're there?
Yeah, so that was one of the main goal too. Part of the reason why I moved to Texas. Yeah, so I just looked at as a long term, and there is a lot of opportunity here where we can expand. And since it's big land and there's so many warehouses here in Dallas, so yeah, that was one of the other reasons why I moved here as well, as a long term. Mhm.
Yeah, and Texas, the cool thing I like about Texas is they sort of appreciate your American freedom rights a little bit more than other states may, right? Like for example, I'm sure you've heard of what's going on with in Florida, where they banned all tegus. So
Mhm.
now people can't
Mhm.
breed tegus anymore. A lot
Mhm.
of those tegu breeders are moving to Texas because it has similar heat, similar humidity, but as of
Mhm.
right now, Texas has not banned tegus, but they
Mhm.
are a state that's very sort
Mhm.
of American, right? Like American
Yeah,
freedoms,
yeah.
and they don't like to
Mhm.
take choices away from people as much as possible.
Definitely for sure. Yeah, I can agree on that. And also, Texas is just a big land. So, like, let's say,
Yeah.
like, although I'm living in Dallas, like, if you go down to Houston, which is more humid, and it's very similar to Florida, I believe. It's just a little bit more hotter, I think. But yeah,
Okay.
when it comes to weather and things like that, Dallas is more of a dry, a little bit more dry, and Houston will be really like a perfect place if you're from Florida, I would say, in my experience, yeah.
Cool. Well, if we ever have trouble in Arizona, then maybe my wife and I will try to go there. But it's tough to move away from family and stuff like that sometimes. And
Yeah.
all my family's out here in Arizona now. So we'll kind of bounce topics a little bit so that we don't get stuck on one topic too much, and we'll go back to talking about some of your other products. But there was a question in the chat that was one of my topic points with you, which is what are your current favorite projects to be working on in Leopard Gecko specifically?
So, there's a lot, but if I had to point out like just one
Or
or
you could
two,
speak a couple. You could, say what you want to say.
it will take another day to talk about everything.
Okay,
But,
okay.
yeah, if I were to point out like your Black Knight cross with some other genetic like tangerines or snows and things like that has been one of my main goal, and also with a lot of patterns like bold patterns, their big geckos are something that I focus nowadays a lot because I just think that bold. Every housing comes out really different, like because they all
Yeah.
have a different pattern. So, and I just love seeing those pattern pretty recently. So I've been focusing on to that projects quite a lot this year.
Yeah.
You know.
So I saw a very interesting tangerine from you
Hmm.
just today, actually. It's this little guy right here, or gal.
Hmm. It's a
So
Mandarin tangerine.
what's Oh, this is Mandarin. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Usually you don't see orange coloration under the belly unless it's
Mhm.
Mandarin. I wasn't sure if this was Mandarin. But wow, that is a lot of orange. Do you
Yeah.
have any idea why we mainly see orange going under the belly on only Mandarin and not really like other stuff for the most part? I mean,
Um,
maybe the Red Devil, right? The Red Devil has orange going under the
yeah.
tail and the belly a little bit, but not as much as Mandarin, I don't think.
Yeah, from my research, like the belly, the warren's belly is more comes down to like the line breeding part. So it seems like I may be wrong, but from my research, Mandarin has been uh, bred from many different breeders with a like with a really good quality for a very long time, and they've been focusing on those orange belly quite a bit too. So I mean, any tangerine can be like that too, but it's just I feel like there is more years that people worked in with the Mandarin tangerine, and that's how it became and created those orange belly with those geckos.
You know what really impresses me about this Mandarin as well is, and
Mhm.
correct me if I'm wrong, from my experience, a lot of Mandarins are usually like a darker orange, but this guy's like really bright, like
Mhm.
shining, almost like an inferno or something like that. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm. Yes. Some are dark, but this one was pretty bright, so I thought it would
Yeah,
be
he was bright.
pretty, yeah, pretty good. Can Gecko to show off with everyone, so that I decided to record one and share it. There are a lot of Mandarin that this year that turned out really well with the bright orange. But from my experience, yeah, definitely Mandarin has more of those darker characteristic compared to other tangerines that I have been seeing um, in the past. So
So
definitely,
now, go ahead. What were you saying?
yeah, definitely, yeah, it's a good project to try. I mean, if everyone's likes orange geckos.
Yeah, Bam Bam says it almost looks like a Tango Crush orange, which is a compliment because Tango Crush is a very nice line of tangerine. So
Mhm.
if you're producing
Mhm.
animals over there similar to that, that's a good compliment.
And I
Um,
believe Mango Crush, they had Mandarin in their line as well. They pretty much mix all the tangerines that
yeah,
they had
I
to
believe
create
that's what I
some.
read on
Yeah,
his
yeah.
website
So,
as well.
uh,
And so the best of the best you just select over the years and keep moving that forward.
mhm,
Last we spoke a little bit about
mhm.
the Red Devil. I'm not sure. Did you import some Red Devil bloodline?
So I had a couple of times where I reached out to breeders, and I did cover a couple of images before in my YouTube channel where they are super, super like neon orange color type.
Yeah,
But when I actually saw them like through like different type of photos, it seems pretty similar to like other tangerine lines, like let's say blood tangerine or mandarin tangerine. And the one that I saw, which was really good, wasn't really available out there, or maybe it was just a little bit of photo edit, or maybe wrong, but yeah, I couldn't find the ones that I really want with that neon orange color. So
right.
yeah, I ended up not able to get a find one and didn't get the red devil to yeah from any other location from any other countries. So.
Yeah, and kind of to back you up on that a little bit, I like to promote the hobby as much as possible. Different people are going to be excited about
Mhm,
different projects and different
mhm,
lines.
mhm,
But similar to you, in my Red Devil research as well, when
mhm.
I began to see different photos, right? You can never go based off of one
Yeah.
photo that looks
Mhm,
amazing. When I began to see different photos and even photos of people that imported it here into the United States, I was like, we
yeah.
have stuff like this already, like in
Yeah,
other
yeah, yeah.
tangerine lines. So to import an animal from another country is very expensive
Mhm,
and it's a lot of risk and all that stuff. You're working with people, sometimes with a different language and different
mhm,
priorities. So it's risky. And it
mhm.
just wasn't, I don't know for me if it will ever be worth the risk to have that imported. But it's fun to think about, right? It's fun to
Yeah.
think about this crazy good morph being out there that's hard to
Uh-huh.
get and it's in a different country. But to back
Mhm,
you up a little bit, yeah, when I've seen other pictures of it, it looks very similar to what we already have here. It's more
yeah.
or less just a marketing ploy, right? Everyone has their way of
Mhm,
marketing themselves, and I
mhm,
think everyone has the right to market themselves and sell what they want and try to create
mhm.
some buzz.
Yeah, and I do think there might be couple that are look like images, but I think it's just really really rare to find them.
Right.
So that's why yeah, I've been looking for quite a bit, but just couldn't find the perfect one that I like. So.
And just to answer Lena real quick, we just released a video a couple days ago where we featured the Red Devil in our top 5 most rare leopard gecko morphs, and we talk about it. So, Lena, if you don't mind, you can go to our channel, Geeky Gecko Creations, and you can see what we talk about. But from my research, and Chris, correct me if you know anything more, when I reached out to the breeder a little bit and I was talking to him, I don't think he disclosed everything he's done, but for the most part, the Red Devil came from Electric Tangerine and Bell lines like that.
Yeah.
He kind of molded
Mhm.
that into what it
Mhm.
is.
Mhm.
Is there anything else about what's in a Red
Um,
Devil?
yeah, the one thing that I'm for sure of is that it has a bell albino in there, which
Yeah,
what I have heard is from my experience, I haven't been able to define it, but bell albino tends to bring out those neon color quite a bit, a lot, based from my research when you mix with the tangerines. And
yeah,
that's how they were able to create that neon type of orange color. But when it comes to like the which tangerine line it was from, that one is a little bit hard to get information from other breeders from my end too. So
yeah.
yeah, but
I
definitely
asked
Bell Albina is in there.
I asked him to be on an interview too, but he was like, "I'm too busy," which is understandable, and we're across the world and whatnot.
Yeah.
Just so you know, for reference, Haley said that the song we were talking about earlier is called "It's All My Exes Live in Texas" by George Strait. So now that you live in Texas, you might have to listen to that song and let me know
Okay,
what you
I'll
think.
try.
It's a fun song. Country is always a fun song. Now we'll talk about a couple of your other products. Jumping back to the product line, but off the top of my head right now, do you have any crocodile skink products or accessories, or is it mainly just leopard geckos, crested geckos for now?
So there is actually a lot of things that we are working on. But for right now, what's available on our website is definitely crested gecko, leopard gecko.
Okay.
Now for the liner, it's more of all different type of reptiles, including snake. But there are certain reptiles that do need a humid substrate. So anything that are living in a desert area is what we recommend, and we spend quite a bit of time to get this right and test it bunch numerous ways to get it. But still, there is more things that we need to fix and make better for our future Geckopia fans.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah.
that's really cool that you're always concerned with that. I know a big concern for people in the past with
Mhm.
reptile carpets
Mhm.
was the nails getting stuck. How did you overcome that issue? How did you product test that so that the nails don't get stuck? Because they don't with your product, right?
Yeah, so basically, it took about somewhere close to 6, 7 months for testing phase. Um, and the design and everything took a whole year. But basically, we create a bunch of different sizes and put it with the leopard geckos, and also we share it with one of our bearded dragon parents as well, and a bunch of different reptiles, and hear their feedbacks while testing these items. And we knew that like we basically got all the pre-existing carpets that are available on current stores and tested everything out. And the fabrics that we chose, which is like the bamboo fabric, um, that are super soft, and for months we haven't seen any claws issue or teeth getting stuck on there. So that's how we ended up choosing that material to be the layer for our liner. But yeah.
Yeah, that's really
Mm-hmm.
good. So I just noticed this. You have a non-slip adherent to the bottom of this.
Mm-hmm.
That's game changer right there because one of the problems with newspaper or paper towel,
Mm-hmm.
which could be considered a replacement for this, but one of the problems with that is they slip and slide around a lot. The geckos dig through it and then they wind up pooing on, just straight on the glass or on the plastic. So
Mm-hmm.
the fact that you have a liner that just lines the bottom and it also has a non-stick or not, yeah, it also has a sticky adhering surface is really cool.
Yeah, and every product that we create has a story behind it, but also at the same time, our goal is to actually save the planet by reducing a lot of waste and making things more reusable. So
Oh,
the any other carpets out there, they're marketed towards to more like a reusable, but if you actually use them quite a bit, they do need to get replaced quite often. And also same
yeah.
thing goes for substrate. Although like there is a definitely good options to keep it bioactive, but not every parents are good with the bioactive setup. And I I created this because like back when I first started my owning my first reptiles, although I've been doing a lot of research to make sure that I get the right products for my geckos or my reptiles, I knew it's not gonna be for everyone to study every single things, how to grow plants, how to put the lights in there, how to put the water in there. And I saw a bunch of bad experience that was happening from the community where, you know, like if you go to Facebook where they ended up uh, having an issue with their first reptile and they don't get any other reptiles anymore due to that bad experience. So I wanted to create something that could be super easy for them, and alternative options where they can keep their reptiles at least the healthiest way. So the products that we try to focus on is more of a feature side. Definitely the design itself is more different than that are available out there, but yeah, we try our best to make it beneficial for them. And for that reason, the liner, the rubber is a natural rubber, and it also helps with the um, overheat issue. You know, like when you have a leopard geckos, we end up putting like heat tape, um, heat wire underneath to give them a belly heat, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I did saw a couple of parents ended up killing their gecko because of the malfunction issues. So that what
Mm-hmm.
that rubber actually do is also it keeps the bedding like straight all the time, most of the time, even if the beauty drag runs around in the tank. But also it really helps giving owners a time to actually rescue their animals in case if there's any malfunction issue, because the rubber itself reduces the heat when it goes certain level of the heat level. Do
Yeah.
you understand? Yeah. So that's one of the other reasons why we put it in there. But still, there's a lot more things to fix, and also, yeah, there's a lot more. Like, there's a lot of feedbacks that we're hearing, and we're making adjustments as go. But yeah, that was a reason why I started it, and yeah, I just spent way too many kitchen towels cleaning. You know, like if you own a bunch of geckos, you will
Yeah.
understand. So I just felt a little bad inside while doing that. I didn't notice it in the beginning, but yeah, it just takes a lot of time cleaning. But at the same time, I want to actually help people in any way. And I thought the liner was something that I wanted to try out. So that's how I created the liner for reptile parents.
Yeah, and that's really smart too about the heat protection because if for anyone who doesn't know, if you put a heat pad underneath a glass tank, that glass can heat up to 150, 170 degrees sometimes because it absorbs all of that heat and there's no temperature control device on that heat pad. So offering a little buffer between that heat pad and the animal is something that a lot of people are unaware of, and this would naturally provide that, and they can't move that cover as easily as they could move some other substrate, or maybe they can't move it at all. I'm not sure how well that adheres, but
Yeah, but yeah, it. What we have been hearing from our reptile parents, they've been loving it quite a lot, and also this is a really something that people don't know about, but once people use it, they just love how it works. But the material that we use, we specifically pick a certain fabrics that helps reduce odors and bacteria.
yes. Okay.
So you know, even if they poop or especially when we own a lot of reptiles, the rooms gets a little bit of smell
Right.
due to the amount of the geckos we have, and that helps with the smell as well.
So
So
the
it's
bamboo fiber fabric is absorbent and odor resistant.
mhm. And bacteria resistant as well. So there's a lot of beneficial factors involved in there. But yeah.
Yeah, I see this here too because of the water resistant backing, which is part of the non-slip thing, right? It
Mhm.
keeps the feces liquid, which normally drips through newspaper or something. It keeps that off of the glass.
Mhm.
So all of that bacteria is not getting onto the glass. So
Mhm.
that's really smart, man. You thought of a lot and you constantly get feedback from people and always start looking to improve. That's
Yeah.
real stuff there. And you got a few different sizes, 10 gallon, 30 gallon, 40 gallon.
Mhm.
Now, when it comes to cleaning this thing, is it as easy as taking it outside and rinsing it with the hose, or what would be the process for that?
So it's a very easy process. You no longer have to do hand washing anymore. You can put it on the laundry machine if you want to, and you're done with it in 5 to 30 seconds, I'll say. Because you're not actually using anything at that point when you put it in a laundry machine. So
Yeah.
the one thing that we advise is that because we are going to be using it for animals, we always which there's all the guidance and instructions in there, but we always recommend using non-chemical detergents with a little bit of a vinegars that helps making keeping the quality and the liner pretty clean for a very long time. So yeah, as a long term, it's gonna save a lot of money for new reptile parents, and it's gonna save a lot of resources because they don't have to buy another one every often. Mm-hmm.
Now we had a question here in the chat, and I'm gonna pose it to you in two different ways. So Norman Davis asked, "What kind of substrate do you use in your rack system?" So you have some animals in racks and some animals in tanks. Can you explain what substrate you use for either one of
So
those?
we currently still testing a bunch of different ways. We have our custom designed liners for rack system
I was gonna
too.
add, that was my second
Yeah.
follow up. Yeah.
So yeah, because that's how we are able to test them and be able to consistently get more data while using them to make the better items all
Yeah.
as time go. But sometimes because the liner itself is designed to keep things dry. Especially when it's a shedding time. That's when we sometimes give like a tub with a kitchen towel inside so they can go in and shed. Or sometimes, like let's say baby geckos, they do need to get more humid because they do shed more often the other size leopard gecko. So
Yeah.
we put like kitchen towels for baby geckos right now at the moment. But because we get a bunch of different inquiries and feedbacks, there is going to be something that we may have something we may have some updates down the future that we are currently working on. Yeah,
Nice. I
yeah.
love looking forward to surprises. So that was going to be another perspective I was going to bring up earlier is where do you get the creativity for a lot of these ideas? Because you have a lot of products. A
Mhm,
lot of this creativity is coming from you and your needs, it seems,
mhm,
as well as getting feedback from the
mhm,
rest of the people in the hobby. Right? Is
mhm.
there anything else to kind of add to that, or?
So, um, yeah, the Geckopia itself, to going back to the company that I create, uh, it's I I have never had a passion before in my life, and when I found the Reptile, like everything totally shifted for my perspective and everything, and I got a lot of good email messages from people, and that kind of motivates me to do better for the reptile community. Now when it comes to designing creating products, yeah, it's not easy to get those ideas, but when I have so many reptiles, I start seeing things that are not satisfying, I guess. Like the ones that I'm currently using, if it's not that satisfying to me, then I start thinking about what way can I make it different and make it better. And that's how I ended up creating all these items that's here on my website today. But yeah, while I'm having them, I if I do see that my reptile is not liking something, because I do handle my geckos quite a bit, and I just love seeing what they do and how they move, how they eat, and all those data, like all those informations, I start gathering info and starting building and creating new things that I think it will be helpful for reptile parents. So.
Yeah. Well,
Mm.
thanks for doing that. I mean, it's helped out a lot of people around the world because I know you ship products worldwide, and a lot of people really
Mhm.
like your products. Uh, what did I see here in the chat? Let me see. Oh no, I think we hit the substrate question. Have you ever used like paper towels or newspaper or anything, or do you still experiment with some of that, or is it mainly you're experimenting like solely with your liners now, even in your rack
So
situation setup?
For the custom size for the racks, because we have so many geckos,
Yeah,
we didn't know like how many we need at when we like make the custom size. So we don't have liner for every geckos that we have, and especially for all the babies, we are using it for kitchen towels
yeah,
nowadays, and sometimes we use newspapers. But yeah, mostly like we're yeah, soon like we are trying to get more and more, and there's a more things that we have to work on to develop it. So
yeah.
um, at the end, yeah, everything will turn into liners, in my opinions. But I'll have to see.
That's awesome, man. So thank you for what you're doing. I look forward to seeing what other stuff you innovate for the reptile hobby. And I think the reptile hobby is really innovating in a upward direction as far as better
Mhm,
care for the animals, better lighting, and all
mhm,
that kind of stuff.
mhm,
So I hope that a lot of this better products will replace current products in the store that are a little bit misleading to people
mhm,
and people might not be aware of problems that can happen with like
mhm,
regular reptile carpet that's super cheap and available in the store, and they
mhm,
buy it and then their gecko's stuck and spinning around all
mhm.
night because its
Yeah.
nails are stuck. So I would like
Mhm,
to see those not so innovative products replaced eventually by products
mhm.
like yourself. Have you had any discussion or communication with big companies about them or pet stores stocking your product and stuff like that?
Uh, yeah, we did. We did, but it's still it's still in the progress right now. Before I expand quite a bit, so yeah, we did have a couple of calls and messages, and through expos as well, in the past. Yeah, but
I'm
just
sure
gotta
you'll get more.
yeah, just gotta keep making better and better, and hopefully, and yeah, it's just a new thing. Because a lot of parents like to keep it bioactive, and that is one of the hardest
Right.
part for
Yeah.
us. And I definitely understand that part. But there are parents that are not really be able to do in that type of theme or setup. So if I can help, I'm definitely willing to create something that's an alternative for them. For those new reptile parents or anyone who else looking for alternative options.
Yeah, and you're definitely doing that. So really appreciate that. Jay says, thank you to two channels that helped me be confident in getting started with leopard geckos, Geckopia and Geeky Gecko Creations. Appreciate that, Jace. So
Thank
that involved you, so I just wanted you to see as well. That was from Jace. Shark Tank. Norman said Shark Tank. What did you mean, Norman? I thought I had an idea of Shark Tank as well. Now let me I have to run to the restroom real quick, but I'm going to ask you a
Yeah, sure.
question. I can hear you, the audience can
Okay.
hear you, and then I'll be
Yeah.
back in 2 seconds. But somebody was asking, um, let me give you a long topic just so I'm not like rushing to get back here really
Okay.
quickly. Um, uh, do you do you have any future ideas for different combinations or morphs that you're working towards that you can reveal at this moment? And what are those ideas about different morph combinations for leopard geckos that you think are new or untouched or can be improved? And how, what are you doing to like pursue that? So I'll be right back on that topic.
Okay. Okay. I won't be able to get the gecko with me. Sorry, guys, because it's gonna take a lot of time to find those geckos. But I definitely see a potential in something with the Black Knight and Snow type of cross, which the patterns have been coming out pretty uniquely recently, and I do share those images on my Instagram. So if you check our Instagram page, you'll be able to see whole photos of our unique geckos that we have in our locations. Now, um, there are going to be something that we are working on with the WIs, and with albinos and other and WI snows and albinos, which kind of gave me a big attention recently due to the colorations. And that is something that I'm looking forward to and think that has a lot of potential coming up down in the future when people started doing more work with that combo.
Nice. So looking at your Instagram right now, this is a WI combo right here, right? WI
Yeah.
always makes a great,
Mm-hmm.
great combo. White and yellow jungle tremper eclipse. Can't
Uh-huh.
go wrong with that.
This one is more look like a ladybird type pattern, in my
Yeah,
opinion. There's a circular patterns over the back, and that was a quite a new things that I recently found. So that's something that I'm also working at right now for this year too.
that's cool. Yeah, white and
Mhm.
yellow just makes a lot of really nice
Yeah.
stuff. What is
Mhm.
this right here? This is nice. Blood tangerine tremper albino.
Yeah.
A
Mhm.
lot of nice white
Yeah.
coloration in there. Very nice.
This one, the main goal for this was to get more of this white portion on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
back. That was my goal. So it's been working pretty well, but I have to see how it turns out next year too.
Okay. And just since I'm looking at the picture here, you also offer this product with
Mhm.
a food dish holder now in it, which is next level stuff. This is the
Uh,
GECKOPIA Flex Bridge, correct?
uh, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, you do work with crested geckos, and these are good for that.
So I do have crested geckos now, but in the past, my brother actually owned the crested gecko as a pet, and when I saw these crested geckos in the beginning, they like to hang around in the branch or vines or things like that above. But what I saw was there was a mold growing on the wood, bark or anything like that because they are kept more in a humid type of environment than compared to leopard geckos. So definitely like having something like isopod or springtails would help, but it takes a couple of days or sometimes depending on how big your colony is. But I just felt a little uncomfortable seeing that with the gecko in it, so I started designing something that could be very sturdy, but also same time very easy to climb and very easy to washable and adjustable for those hanging geckos, which includes like cresty, gargoyle, or lichianas, or like day geckos, and frogs too. Like we have frog parents using it, but yeah, definitely that was the main reason why I started creating this item in the
Uh,
beginning.
I'll give you another idea with it. Is there's a lot of people that are starting to suggest that snakes like a lot more vertical playroom than we tend to give them credit for. So this would even be good for people who have snakes in terrariums that are built higher, and they could put these all throughout the terrarium, and the snake can go through it like vines or branches or an obstacle course. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really cool. And same with bearded dragons. I've also seen a lot of bearded dragons prefer to sit up high and whatnot, and you
Mm-hmm.
could put this easily throughout a bearded dragon's cage, and they could sit on it, and I'm sure they'd have some fun with it. So
Yeah.
it is very multifunctional, but I do get that you designed this specifically for like tropical geckos, this specific product.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I've used it. You sent me a couple, and I'm really appreciative of that. And I really put it to the test and used it. Super easy to clean. The poo does not stick to it well. The geckos seem to really love it. And you can cut them to many
Mm-hmm.
different sizes depending on which size you buy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an all around win. It's a great product
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Yeah. Thank you. Um, Yeah, that was something that I found out recently too. Yeah, Bearded Dragon parents one time sent me a video uh, with the flex bridge on there too, and I was pretty shocked that
Yeah.
they love any of those things. That's what I saw too, and that was a pretty unique experience when I saw Bearded Dragon hanging on there. Oh yeah,
See,
definitely.
you're making all kinds of reptile parents happy. Now,
Yeah.
Bam Bam said we're only tapping the tip of the iceberg with Black Knight. What do you think about that? I kind of agree with that because Black Knight is very similar to Tangerine in the sense that it's a line bred trait for specific coloration, but then you can add pattern manipulation to it, combination to it, and I don't think a lot of that has been done yet to the max of what we can do.
Yeah, so that's what I'm currently working on too. Um, and the one thing that I do think the most important thing to know while working with the black nut is just there's a lot of line breeding issues out there
Yeah,
from
agreed.
breeders. So yeah, as long as you um, like for me, I get new male each year and we cross breed them to prevent those issues. And definitely like crossing with the tangerines or snow does help too because they're different type of lines. So
Right.
as long as um, we do keep outcrossing those black knights, then I think that definitely there's a lot of things to do with the black knight lines, and I think that's gonna be super exciting for many black knight lovers too.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. I have a decent amount of black knights over here, like you do, and I see the issue. Geckos will hatch out small, sometimes shorter faces, sometimes lower fertility rates. But a lot of people get scared, like, "Oh no, my black knight's not going to produce for me." I can tell you, they produce. They do just fine. But the black knight genetic is going to benefit from outcrossing, like you're talking about, and that's it. If we keep it as simple as that and just start creating other bloodlines of Black Knight and crossing those bloodlines, we're going to have full-bodied, strong DNA animals that are also fully black, within a few years. And then those projects can now be mixed with a whole bunch of other stuff. So I really think there's a lot of potential for the Black Knight. And I always like to tell people to outcross it, just like you said. That's one of the number one things that I think the hobby should be doing with the Black Knight is creating as many diverse, dark bloodlines and healthy bloodlines that we can. And then we could all buy from each other and crisscross and, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and from my experience, speaking from my experience, like I've been doing Black Knight projects for 3, 4 years now, and only issues that I saw um, while doing crossbreeding is maybe like one or two is probably the max each year, and rest, which is like tens of Black Knights, had a perfect condition. Um, Mainly, like the issues that I saw is just a little bit of tail issue, like at the tip, which it does happen from other lines as well. But
Right.
as long as you do the right outcrossing, in my experience, yeah, I haven't seen that really like bad issues from the hatchlings. And also, the one other tip is when you pair with the black knight, and if it's line bred for a very long time, your female or male could actually produce infertile eggs. Um, don't know if it's gonna be forever, but I did saw some cases where infertility rates go up higher as well if you do too much line breeding with the black knights. Mhm.
Right. Yeah, and that is definitely an issue, but a lot of people are starting to outcross the Black Knights now, and so
Mhm.
I'm hopeful that that issue can become less and less in time. But
Mhm.
yeah, just for anyone out there who's about to spend a few $1,000s on a Black Knight, get it from a reputable breeder that's working on outcrossing them, because those geckos will probably produce more eggs for you than some of the more inbred ones.
Mhm.
If you want to go that route. So.
And- yeah.
Sir Gugu says, "Why do you wear gloves when working with your leopard geckos?"
Okay, good question. So there's a numerous reason, and one of them is I don't know if it's just me, but I do have a little bit of sensitive skin. So when I'm handling geckos, sometimes their claws do give me like red skin itch type
Mm,
of thing happening on my skin. So that's one of the reason. The second reason is while cleaning or while handling geckos, sometimes like they can jump off or they can slip.
Sure.
And to prevent that, having a latex glove does help with a better grip to hold the
Huh.
geckos as well.
I didn't think about that, but yeah.
And the other reason is,
Bacteria, dirt, right? I mean,
yeah,
you're touching
bacteria,
poo and stuff.
yeah, bacteria issues too. Because I don't know how many times I handle per day, but sometimes when I need some break, I go to gecko room and I play with them and like yeah, sometimes I just feel like I need to wear gloves and I just wear gloves. But yeah,
Oh, that's funny.
just
I could just picture you middle of the day going and being like, oh, I'm gonna play with this gecko.
yeah. So
Well, that's great that you find time like that, even being such a busy company with product
mhm.
line, animals that you're selling, and this is you don't do Geckopia full time, right? You have other work you're doing still, so
um, I
or are
do.
you doing Geckopia full time now?
I'm doing GeckoPia full time, but I do have other businesses as well. But yeah, GeckoPia has been my primary thing for right now, the most because we are expanding. So there's a lot of times that I put into GeckoPia right nowadays with the
Oh,
GeckoPia.
good, good. Yeah, last I spoke to Nevada, I thought you
Mm.
still had like a 9 to 5, like a full
Yeah, I had
full-time
a
job.
job. Yeah, I
Yeah.
had a job back then, and while I had a job, I tried a bunch of different type of things, and yeah, just reptile has been always something that I've been loving since I found them. So I always had it with me while working too. So
So for all the people that are motivated and sort of looking to you or other people in the hobby that have made businesses out of their passion, would you say it's possible for somebody if they make the right moves and given enough time that they can create their own gecko business or, pursue a reptile business?
definitely, it's gonna be not easy,
I
but
agree. Yeah.
it's gonna
But
be a lot
possible.
of it's a lot of time and a lot of effort that you will have to put in. And for me, I was able to do it because it has been the passion since the beginning. I never had something that I really liked about until I found the reptiles.
Yeah.
And yeah, that has been one of the big motivation for me while working with the Geckopia. So it is possible, but there will be a lot of time and sacrifice that you will have to put in to um, do the job and to make it successful. I'll say, yeah. But not every business is easy. You have to put a lot of time and
Yeah.
work, a lot of
Just on
consistency.
that note, there's some research out there, and my numbers might be a little off, but there's some research out there that 70% of small businesses, all small businesses, 70% fail within the first year.
Mhm.
20% fail within the first like 2 years. So now we're at like 90%. And then like another 5% fail within the first like 5 to 10 years. So when a lot of people get, I say pursue your passion and try. If you fail and fall on your face, then get up and move to something else. But a lot of people are discouraged from trying because they're afraid of failure. But then we'd have no small businesses in America anywhere because small businesses in general is not an easy task. It takes a lot of things to align and fall in place. And some people make it and some people don't. But I would not discourage people from trying, and I'd say learn what you can, stay
Mhm.
humble, absorb from people that are being successful, see what they're doing, and make moves slowly but surely in those directions, So
Mhm.
yeah,
Definitely.
business, the world of business, not easy.
That's a really good information. But yeah, I mean, as long as you don't give up and you put consistency, if you have a consistency, then there will be opportunity for many
Yeah.
good successes. So
And the cool thing about reptiles as well is it doesn't have to be your full-time gig. I would
Mhm.
actually encourage people more to do it slowly and build it as a pure hobby. Keep your
Mhm.
full-time job, keep your stable income, and build this and your own reputation slowly over time and start developing a name for yourself and branding yourself and selling animals. And then maybe when the time's right, where you see that you can replace your normal income with reptile income, then you can make that transition. But if you pressure yourself to make all your money from reptiles, you're not going to have fun anymore, because at the end of the day, it will become just a number to you, and you're going to lose out on quality time with your animals. So that would be my one suggestion or warning for people to think about before being like, I'm quitting my job and doing reptiles full time because someone else is doing it. You know, that's a big decision to just run out and do, you know?
Yeah, and that's how I started too. And it took quite a bit, but
Yeah,
I'm able to.
you made those slow moves, those right moves, and it's really panning out for you. And of course, you have the product line as well, which is supplemental income towards everything else that you got going on. And you have other businesses that you run and own. So you have multiple sources of revenue that you're invested in. You're not tied up into one thing. So if the reptile market crashes tomorrow or whatever, you're not solely reliant upon that. You can pivot and move and put time into these other foundations that you've laid. So all those have really helped you, and not everybody has that. So just kind of think about these things before you make your decision to quit your job and go into reptiles full time. You know?
And definitely, they're
Yeah.
not like even in my opinions, like even reptile industry, let's say have a bad year, there is always a few companies that will be doing well. So
Yeah.
it's really depends how people runs the business, but definitely if you put everything into it, then I think it will be a good try and good experience for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Pineapple King says, another shout out for you and myself. My two favorite breeders. I can't believe what I'm watching. Everything I know is because of these two amazing people. And I think a lot of that stems with the fact that both of us are very active on social media. So there's a lot of great leopard gecko breeders out there, right? You and I both know a lot of the big names behind the scenes, but they are not in the front of the scenes. They're not on the front lines of YouTube and Instagram, and they don't have like massive followings. So a lot of times people don't know who they are. But you and I have a very big passion for taking our love for reptiles and putting ourselves out there publicly and sharing that. So a lot of people relate to that and have fun coming to these live streams and getting to interact with that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I initially created Instagram as just to keep a memory for myself with the reptile. That's how I
Yeah.
started it. But
Photo
uh,
booker. Yeah.
yeah, but being able to show the cool geckos and sometimes giving tips is definitely something that I enjoy doing. So I think having a social media platform is definitely an amazing thing for me and for many others like Kiki, Frank as well. So yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
definitely.
yeah.
Not just a little bit, my friend. You do a lot. You do a lot of teaching, and and what I like to say to a lot of people nowadays is um, things change over time. So reptiles 30 years ago looks different than reptiles today. 30 years ago, people were like calling each other up like, hey, do you have a leopard gecko? They had no ability to send pictures or whatever. And then that transitioned to forums. Kingsnake. I don't know if you ever know kingsnake.com. As a kid, I was on kingsnake.com all the time. This was before Facebook, you know? So it was just online reptile forums. And then that transitioned to Facebook, which transitioned to Instagram, which now has transitioned to mainly YouTube. There are some reptile TikTokers out there, but TikTok is more for entertainment than it is for education, I would say. But YouTube YouTube is the number 2 place where people search for actual information on reptiles. And you know what number 1 is? Google. And so if you Google information, how do I keep a leopard gecko? Guess what the first few things are that Google's going to show you? YouTube videos. So YouTube is so pivotal in our reptile hobby right now for education and awareness and promotion. And that's where people are looking. So people gravitate towards platforms like yourself that educate on topics that people want to know about. So really cool. You do a ton of educational videos. And I just want to let you guys know, if you go over to his channel, you'll see a lot of entertainment as well as education stuff on YouTube and Instagram, you know?
Thanks, Frank. Yeah, definitely YouTube and Google has a lot of searches. But I've been seeing TikTokers started creating educational content. So I don't know
Yeah.
how things will turn out, but definitely I think there's a lot of potential with the TikToks as well down the road. But any platform, definitely, if I can communicate, be able to share, I think it's a great platform to use and communicate with the people who
You
love
know what's
reptiles.
crazy is I'm starting to see this more and more, and maybe you are as well. But um, because reptiles are becoming more in the social media light and whatnot, there's a lot of popular content creators that are actually starting to partner with celebrities and other platforms that are completely non-reptile related, right? But like, who says that an NFL player or Jennifer Lopez or Brad Pitt, who says that any of these people are not into reptiles, right? It's just that maybe it hasn't been on their mind because they haven't seen it. But I've seen a lot of people, content creators, now starting to collab with celebrities and other people that you would think these two worlds would not like mesh, but they're people too at the end of the day. And who says that LeBron James, basketball player, doesn't want a leopard gecko? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree, and I did have a couple messages from not U.S. but abroad, like other countries
K-pop,
who are
K-pop.
celebrating. But in like because I'm Korean, like I do see like Korean culture and as well, but a lot of Korean celebrities now owns reptiles, and it's been pretty popular in that country nowadays. So I do think that hopefully someday a lot of celebrities here in US will be able to own the reptiles too.
Yeah. We'll hit some of these questions. I definitely want to be sensitive of your time. What do you think? You got 15 more minutes in you, or how we doing on time?
Um, let's yeah, 15 minutes. Yeah, that should be fine.
Okay, I'll make sure that we get everything wrapped up. So let's hit some of these questions, kind of in conclusion. I don't see any issues with white and yellow in my collection. What about you? And what's your knowledge on that?
So I before I started it, I also was thinking. I was a little bit suspicious as well because there is a term called what syndrome, like WY syndrome, where
Right.
they do circle around. But from my end, I had none of the geckos that has shown any of those syndrome. Um, maybe I was just doing outcrossing quite a bit, and that's why I was not seeing it. But if I did saw the syndrome, definitely that's something that I was aware of it, and then maybe reduce it. But so far from my experience, I had no issues, so
Yeah.
I'm still doing the WY at the moment, and I think they're okay at the moment. Yeah.
And if you usually buy from reputable breeders, they'll
Mhm.
tell you honestly if their geckos have issues. So, like, I can tell you I've never had a white and yellow gecko that has issues. You
Mhm.
can guarantee that for a customer as well if you choose to guarantee that. John from Gecko Boa, Geckos, etc. All of these people have very good reputations in the industry. They would not have good reputations if they're selling sick animals or animals with problems. So there's a really good chance if you buy from a reputable breeder that you are not going to see any white and yellow issues. But
Mhm.
to go back to what you said, I have heard about those old white and yellow
Mhm.
issues that maybe were more
Mhm.
prevalent or popular, 10, 20 years ago. But as far as now, I don't see a lot, or I don't see anybody's
Mhm.
collection that I know of that are reputable breeders that really have any white and yellow issues at all.
Mhm. And definitely, like if I do happen to see it, you'll be able to find it in my YouTube later down the road because I
Yeah,
share
you
pretty
share
important time
everything.
there. But yeah, so far I haven't seen it. And even if someone had a WY syndrome and when they're selling it, they will inform you. and they should be informing you that it has this syndrome. So as long as you're getting it from the reputable breeder, then there wouldn't be any issues like that
Yep.
from getting WIs.
And touching on something that Bam Bam said earlier in the chat, he said that white and yellow is one of those genes that can just create a lot of diversity for you in your combinations and really like spontaneous,
Mm-hmm.
bright color changes, bright pattern changes, and it's really fun to play around with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's something that I'm working on this year too. There's a 3 different combo: albino, WI, and snow.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's something that I'm pretty interested and excited for, and I saw a huge, like, really good combo that's coming up from Facebook group pages. So I think that will be a good project to. I would say that would be a good recommendation for myself and for anyone who's interested in WY's combo.
Yeah, I think we can still continue to innovate in the reptile hobby and not lose out on new ideas. I'm even curious what happens with white and yellow black knights eventually down the line, right? Like certain
Uh-huh.
parts of the gecko could be bright, other parts of the gecko could be dark. Have you bred anything along those lines yet? I haven't, but it would be one of my plans in the future.
I haven't either, but now you told me about it. Maybe
You're
I
gonna have to
should
try.
try it. But
Yeah, I think
yeah, I
that'd be
haven't tried
crazy.
it, but that seems pretty interesting. But yeah, I have to keep on track of other combos, so I'm not sure if I will have enough gecko to do the WY with the black knives, but if I do have a room, then definitely so that's something I would try for
Yeah,
sure.
and that's the fun thing about the hobby is there's a lot of different directions you could go with it, and one person can't do it all. So if you have an idea that someone else is not doing or not a lot of people are, pursue it and see what winds up becoming of it, you know?
Mhm.
Um, a question here from Pineapple King. Geckopia, will you make a video on your DIY small incubator? I don't think I've ever seen your incubator. Do you have a self-made incubator? Or
So
did you
for
buy
the
it?
incubator, I created my own before, but I wanted a better one that's more professional and neat. So the new ones, it's gonna be made from someone else. I don't know the person anymore because it's been quite a long time, uh, but I can definitely come up with a video someday to create the incubator because it's pretty easy to do it. Um, yeah, as long as you have a wine cooler or something refrigerator, I'll say, yeah,
Yeah,
cooler.
old
Then
refrigerators off
yeah,
Craigslist, wine coolers off Craigslist.
yeah,
Let me see my little topic thing here because we might touch on one more topic, then I'll ask you some fun questions here.
yeah, sure.
Okay, let's real quick. Are you attending any shows in Texas in the near future?
So I did recently visited one of the small show that was uh, uh, the name is Repticon.
Yeah, yeah, that's a cool
So
show.
that was one I visited, and I met a couple of people there. Um, but the big ones that we are attending shortly soon, which is the next month, is going to be the NARBC in Arlington, Texas.
Wow, that's a big
That's
one. Yeah.
yeah, that's one of the biggest one in US, and I did attend it last year, and it was pretty big. So yeah, if you go there this year or next month, you'll be able to see our table booth there, and you can
Wow.
say hi.
So Arlington NARBC, which is an acronym for a specific reptile show that they put on different shows in different states. I think it's almost, I think Arlington and maybe like Tinley, aren't they like the top two shows or NARBC shows in the whole country or something?
I heard Tinley is pretty big, but I've never been there before, so I don't know
Yeah.
like exactly how big Tinley show is. But when I went to the NARBC, it was one of the biggest one that I saw from the whole entire reptile expo. So it's a pretty big, yeah. It's
Okay.
the biggest one that I saw.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, one more question from the chat before we move into closing questions. What was the first gecko that both of you started with? So what was your first gecko? Let me add something to that. What was your first gecko, and then what was your first big purchase when you turned into a breeder, you know?
So there was a little bit of time frame. Do you know Ganji, the Black Knight, the male
Yeah,
gecko
yeah,
that we
yeah.
have? Yeah. So he is from Netherlands. I imported him from
Oh,
another
nice.
country. Yeah. So he's pretty new, and I had a tramper albino. But when it comes to the time frame, because it took importing time and things like that. Ganji come a little bit later, but tramper albino is one I had in the very first beginning of my time. When I
Is this
got my,
Ganji?
yeah, this is the Ganji. Wait,
He is an
no, this is not.
amazing gecko.
No, this is
Oh,
not
it's not
Ganji.
Ganji.
Yeah, this is another female. If you
Look at this
go
little
down
grouper.
somewhere, you'll be. This is hatchlings. Um, should be down somewhere. Oh
Oh,
yeah,
here's
right there.
Ganji.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
that
that is a
face.
Ganji. Yeah.
Look at the black coming under their sides and neck too. That's really cool. So he kind of kicked it off for you. That was your first big investment. Other than that, your actual first gecko was like a tangerine, you said, or something?
Tramper albino.
Tremper
Mm-hmm.
albino.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, I'd say my first leopard gecko as a pet, I was 8 years old, and it was just like a normal from the store. And then when I was older, my first big investment was Inferno Tangerine. So kind of similar to you is I
Mm.
really liked the Tangerine when I first made the decision to start investing more heavily, and I chose the Inferno line at that time, and
Mhm.
that's carried on into a lot of our collection today over the years.
Yeah, and produce a lot of babies too, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So let me wrap up with a couple of fun questions for Chris. So, first of all, a lot of you guys might not have known that your name is actually Chris, right? A lot of people just know you as Geckopia because
Yeah,
they
yeah.
see you online, but
Mhm.
your name is Chris. Chris, what is your favorite type of food to eat?
Honestly, I love eating and trying new food. There's two things that are pretty similar, which is sushi and ramen. Those are my top favorite. Yeah. They're very equal, so I couldn't say which one's better, but yeah,
Sushi,
those two are
ramen.
like yeah, my favorite.
I like how sushi's like top end, top dollar stuff, and then you're like ramen. Or do they have top end ramen? I don't know. I'm thinking of the ramen from like
uh,
Walmart or something. But
I don't know. I mean, they can vary from yeah anything, so they can be both expensive and both
yeah,
affordable at the same time. So, but I
uh,
just love those two a lot, and yeah, those are my
okay.
favorite.
What is a food that you can't stand? Like you just won't eat it, or if it touches your tongue, like you're spitting it out right away. Or maybe there's not a food that's that way for you.
So far, I'm not allergic to anything, and I love everything, and I don't think I have any food that I hate, but it's not a food, but anything that has nuts, that's
Mm.
something that I wouldn't enjoy eating a lot. I can still eat and I do eat, but yeah, I would prefer a different type of food. If there is something else, then I will definitely take something else. But yeah, anything that has a nuts, I'm not a big fan of. Yeah.
Now you have a lot. My mom is Filipino, so kind of Asian, right?
Mhm.
Like Islander Asian, if you want to look at it that way.
Okay.
But you have a lot deeper connection with the Asian community. If I'm remembering correctly, I love to do this with my ramen noodles. I'll put peanuts in there for crunch factor and effect. Is that an Asian thing? In a lot of Asian cultures, do they put nuts or like peanuts in some of their soups or noodle blends? Or
Uh,
did I just get that completely from somewhere else? I thought it was an Asian thing, but maybe I'm wrong on that.
there are certain Asian foods that are like that, but in Korea, not that I can think of.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
you'll
but
have to try it. Ramen and peanuts, amazing. Well, you don't like nuts mainly, but peanuts in the ramen, it just adds some crunch in there, a little bit extra sweetness from the peanut oils. It's good stuff.
interesting.
Let's move
I'll
on
definitely
to
try it out.
try it out, and also listen to George Strait. What was the name of the song? All my exes live in Texas, and eat some ramen with peanuts while listening to that.
I sure
After
will.
this stream, listen to it. I think you'll like it. But
Okay.
okay, kind of touching on the movie, the music movie side of things. What's your favorite genre of movie or like television show to watch? Is it like scary movie? Is it horror movie? Is it documentaries about animals? You know,
Action movie and
action.
also
Okay,
yeah, an open-ended movie. Like
mystery. So like you like
um
intrigue or
as an
what do you mean by open
example,
ended? Sorry, I thought you meant mystery open ended, but maybe that's something else. Yeah.
uh, one good movie that I can think of is Inception. Like it's an
Okay,
open-ended
okay, I
yeah
gotcha.
movie. Yeah, like it can yeah. At the end, there's no open answer like how things end. But if it's something like that, then I think I kind of like watching those movies. Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people don't like that because like they need all the answers, but you like that. You're like, I
Yeah.
don't need all the answers. I want it to be open to interpretation, and I want you to suffer along with me. But okay, so what about movie genres that you just don't like romantic comedies or something like or dry humor, you know?
um, huh.
What doesn't Chris like to watch?
Let me think. I don't know. I haven't
You like
really
everything?
like if there's any movie, then I'll watch it. But
Okay,
like
do you like
humor, I don't know.
Napoleon Dynamite? Do you like that dry humor like Napoleon Dynamite, Nacho Cheese? What's that song? Nacho Libre? Like, do you like that kind of dry humor type stuff?
I mean, I watch those too. I mean, I can
Okay,
watch it,
so
but
you do like,
I'll say like if like is it just me watching myself like
yeah,
alone
yeah,
or
you by
okay?
yourself, you by
Then
yourself.
yeah, I will skip with the scary movies. Yeah, like
Okay,
I can handle the like blood and things like that, but
okay,
when there's like sudden appear with the big huge sound effect, that just kills me a lot. So
okay.
I
So
can't
no
watch that.
ghosts or demons or anything like that when you're by
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah, I'll say that. Yeah, I can't watch that alone. Yeah, for sure.
That's cool. Well, it's always fun to learn a little bit about you. So thanks for sharing that, Chris. I did see one last question, if you don't mind, that is kind of important. So if you want to touch on it real quick,
Yeah.
and then we'll wrap it up with this. Any advice on how to take geckos to a show and packing them for transport? So I'm guessing as a vendor, can you just briefly touch on that, or maybe
Uh,
you have a video that shows that?
Okay, so it really depends on which show you're visiting. But for me, I don't carry any reptiles out of the States. I only do
Oh, okay. In-state
expos
shows.
in Texas only because there could be numerous regions, but for one, yeah, it could be a risk for me. So. If I'm doing a local event, which the NARBC is a local as well, it's not too far, so I'll be having my reptiles there. But from my experience, the people who's coming from other states, a lot of them do bring like their own vehicles with the big trucks or like
Trailers. Yeah.
trailers in there, and then they bring it with them to the show. So that will be an answer. And also the another route could be definitely like big reptile shipping box through FedEx because FedEx a lot of I mean all reptile breeders ship overnight shipping.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you do it that method, I guess that will be safe. But it really depends. There it comes to like the temperature and how many packages are actually are moving during those time because like let's say if it's a Black Friday or any special occasion event like the dates then definitely your shipment won't be arriving as it's supposed to be. So if you are able to get that schedule correct, then I think shipping could be another option to bring your geckos to the expo.
Yeah, what about safety of transport? Are your geckos just in little deli cups so they're not like moving around a lot? And do you use like paper towel just in the bottom of those deli cups in case they like defecate? Or do you have show
Yes.
display cases, or
Yeah, so when I do bring geckos, I don't bring all of them. I only bring certain amount where I can actually handle. So when I'm bringing my geckos, I would bring it in a box where it has with the deli cup in each gecko, with the cooler or sometimes even heat pad if it's too hot, too cold outside. Yeah, that will be the way I would bring my reptiles to the show.
Yeah, so that's a little tip actually that came to mind. Not only in travel, but when you go to the showroom, there's a lot of air conditioning pumping in that showroom. So you might want to bring some heat tape or a little heater if you're concerned about certain reptiles dropping to like 65 degrees, which usually isn't a big deal. But I got to tell you, Chris, when I handle some of my snakes at a show, when I pull them out of a case or I pull a gecko out of a case, sometimes they're really cold to the touch because of all the air conditioning going in those shows. So
and
fun fact. Yeah, I was just going to say next week we have Next Level Displays is supposed to be on our interview. Have you seen them? They have heat tape built into their display cases.
Yeah, I actually met them before
nice.
show, and I spoke with them, and yeah, that was something that I was going to talk about. They have those heat pad installed underneath those display, so I do see some time from other breeders at the show using those type of display for their show to keep things more warm for their reptiles.
Absolutely. Well, I kind of cut you off. Was there a point that you were trying to make before that, or was that it pretty much?
No, that was it. That was it.
Okay. Well, in conclusion, Bam Bam Gecko says, thank you, Chris, for letting us pick your brain for information to help us newer breeders. And thank you, Frank, for making this stream happen every Friday. Well, thank you guys, because the stream wouldn't happen if it wasn't for you guys. So, I mean, you guys stayed for an hour and a half. Some of these streams go 2 hours, and these guys are committed. Just so you know, Chris, these loyal followers that we got here, they stay the whole time. And you guys could be doing anything with your Friday night for this hour and a half, but you spent the whole thing with us. And Bam Bam even has COVID and he's here. So thank you guys so much. A lot of you guys were promoting to like the video and follow us and subscribe to both of our channels. So really appreciate that. We'll have to do this again, Chris, sometime in the future. I'll have to check in with Geckopia 3.0 next year.
For sure. And yeah, I'd love to be on the show and talk with you again, with everyone. For sure.
Well, that sounds great. Enjoy the rest of your evening and your weekend, Chris. I know it's going to be a lot of work for you because work never stops with the reptile operation. But any of you guys looking to find Chris, he can be found at thegeckopia.com, on Instagram at Geckopia. Yep, right down there. Also on YouTube for educational videos. And are you on TikTok or?
Yeah, we actually have the most followers on TikTok out of all the platforms.
Really?
Yeah, so yeah, TikTok is something that we use a lot, like Instagram, so you should be able to find.
That's great. I'm gonna have to check out your TikTok now. I didn't realize you had one. And it's really successful, so that's great. I'm gonna have to check that out and get ideas from you, and that's a good thing. Study people who are successful, see what they're doing, and then you could start implementing those moves into your own brand and business and awareness. And we all grow together. So thank you so much, Chris. I really, really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And thank you to everybody else. We will see you guys later. Chris, as you exit, a lot of people don't know what to do, but there's usually just like a little leave button or whatever the case is.
I found it.
So as soon as I end the stream, you could just kind of exit out from there. It's going to play our intro. But thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone being here, and we will see you guys later. Bye, Chris.
Bye, Frank.
Selling in the billions each year, Rainbow Mealworms is your one-stop shop for all your insect needs. Their quality feeders and A-plus customer service keep me coming back to support the health and growth of all of our animals. Visit them today at rainbowmealworms.net to place